Alright folks, well, we are officially on the Jurassic coast. Let me show you exactly where we are. Right, here's the UK. Here's the south coast, which is where we've been from. There's the Isle of Wight, where we've come from. We went across to Limestone there, and we've driven all the way down here, down to that little island there. And that little island is called the Isle of Portland. Now, the place where we're going to this evening is over here by Lyme Regis, just there. So we've still got a little bit of a way to go just to get over to there. But this is where we are at the moment, the Isle of Portland. Now, the Isle of Portland has got a special place in my heart. Because this is the first place we visited in order to specifically look for fossils. Now, like ever really. In 2012, me and my family took a trip down here to the Isle of Portland in order to collect fossils from the Jurassic coast. We went all up and down and around the Jurassic coast, and we stayed here on this island. And this is really where it all properly kicked off for me. You know, it started a lot younger, but this is where it all kicked off. This is where we started collecting stuff. This is where I started putting stuff on display after this trip. This is what inspired me to start the museum project and everything else. It all happened while we were staying here on this island. And this island has got a really, really long and complex history, as well as a fantastic and complex geological history as well. I mean, historically on the island, there's a prison up here, there's a military base, there's a battery for the guns, there's quarries up here, there's a lighthouse, there's some really old architecture up here as well. Geologically, it's pretty complex as well. And in particular, this is known for its Portland limestone. Now, the Portland limestone is quite famous as well. A lot of very famous places were built out of Portland limestone. It's been shipped all around the world. It's a very pure limestone and a very, very strong limestone as well. And it's full of fossils. Now, I've brought you to the Heights Isle of Portland Hotel. And the reason I've brought you here is because when this hotel was being built, it actually incorporated quite a lot of the fossils that you find on the island into this building. I still need to come out of the shelter, it's very windy. I mean, just have a look at this. That's a real fossil, by the way. It's not a cast. It's part of the original quarry limestone. It's a beautiful Ammonite fossil. You see the curly whirly stuff? But have a look in this stuff as well. You can see it's absolutely crammed full of these fossils. So this building stone, which is used all around here, is full of these sea creatures. You saw some of the shells. You saw that great big giant ammonite, the big curly whirly thing, right? Well, I've got one other cool thing to show you in just a moment, but let's head up to where it's going to be really, really windy and have a look out on the viewpoint. I hope everybody can hear me at the end of all of this, but we'll see. Here we go. We're up here on the viewpoint. Let's turn you around so you can have a look. There we go. So it was down there where I stayed all those years ago. Up there's the battery and the prison and the military base. There's a quarry over there as well. And that long stretch of beach you can see, it looks lovely and sandy from here, but it's not actually sand at all. It's almost all exclusively cobbles. That is Chesil Beach. And it's Chesil Beach which has actually stopped this island from being an island. It's known as the Isle of Portland, and it certainly used to be an island, but it's not anymore. You can see how the water from both sides comes up. Well, the Chesil Beach, that's washed up all of that cobbles, has actually stopped this from being an island, so you can actually drive straight to it, which is quite useful. But there we go, lots of quarries around here. and all other sorts of wonderful stuff. But it's over here that I really wanted to show you something cool and interesting. Now this wall that you can see in front of the hotel here is absolutely full of these fossils. I mean, the entire hotel is literally built out of these fossils, right? All sorts of different fossils, but in particular evidence of massive flooding. What are we talking about? Well, curly whirly Ammonite fossil there. Ammonite, by the way, is named after the a pagan god Ammon, who had the body of a man and the head of a sheep, and they thought that its curly whirly horns looked a bit like the horns of a sheep. There's another Ammonite there. Keep moving along. There's another Ammonite there. And oh, what's this? You see this here? This is fossil timber. It's fossil wood. It's very, very common around the Isle of Portland, and it's buried exactly and right next to the ammonites that you can see they've incorporated into the wall here. So you've got wood and ammonites. Ammonites are sea creatures, deep sea creatures. Lots more of this. Some wonderful stalactite formation there. More ammonites. More fossil wood. More ammonites. Huge ammonite there. More fossil wood. More ammonites. And then this huge cave type formation as well. Absolutely beautiful. But this is the real key thing just up here. So remember what we've been seeing, that they've incorporated from the local area into this building lots and lots of sea creatures and now fossil wood, including this rather spectacular fossil tree. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. It's an enormous tree. It's absolutely beautiful. It's been preserved incredibly well. It's been semi-reconstructed, but this is essentially how it was found. You can see, I mean, just look at some of the details in this wood, and it's stone, solid stone. So, think about it for a second. Isle of Portland, lots of limestone, very famous for its limestone. You've got lots and lots of sea creatures. In fact, limestone is mostly made up of sea creatures, and buried in there you get these enormous ammonites. Okay, giant sea creatures. They have to be buried quickly. If they're not buried quickly, then they will simply be destroyed. So you've got evidence of very, very rapid fossilization there. And then also you have fossil trees like the one you see behind me. I mean, that is a pretty spectacular fossil tree, and it's not it's not uncommon. It's very common around here to have huge amounts of this fossil timber found out of the quarries from here. So remember, whenever you get land plants and sea creatures buried together, you've got evidence of a flood, and a very big flood at that. And it had to be buried quickly because you've got these enormous sea creatures. In fact, you've got these enormous bits of fossil wood. Now, one thing you know for sure, that tree was buried before it had chance to actually rot away. So you know that it was buried very quickly just by the simple existence of that fossil. It's the same for all the other fossils as well, including these spectacular ammonites like this one. You can see they've incorporated it into the wall. This is the one we saw earlier. It's been beautifully incorporated into the wall. I mean, it's just absolutely delightful. So we could spend a very, very long time wandering around here looking for fossils, but we've got to get a move on. This is one of the places I want to bring people back and do a big field trip, so Lord willing in the future. But for now, we've got to get a move on and get further down the Jurassic coast.